Hi guys, here's another episode of the Miss Meyer Show, and today what we're going to talk about is economics, government, and civics. So really we're just going to probably not even cover economics, so I should have said that. So we're just going to do civics and the government. So the one thing we're going to talk about first is going to be your public process, how things happen. Now remember, the reason we're going over all of this is because these are all lessons and items that you will see on your LEAP. So like I had said before, we will not cover any more like Louisiana history up until after we take the LEAP, because the LEAP, as far as Louisiana history goes, stops at Reconstruction. So from now up until that week in April, we're just going to cover things that you will be tested on the LEAP. Once April comes, we'll finish up with Louisiana history as far as like Huey Long, Earl Long, Katrina, and other things like that. But right now, that's what we're going to go over. So the thing that we're going over right now is public policies. And what's really, really important for you guys to do is to, when I assign assignments for you in Study Island, to complete them, to show me what you do and do not understand. Okay, that's why your assignment for this week is to go into Study Island and complete the assignment so that I know you know what's going on. All right, so when we talk about public policies, we're talking about how things influence the political process. Special interest groups, lobbying, and the media play big roles in public policy and in public opinion. Public policy is the decisions that a government working in the interest of its citizens makes about matters of importance. It can be formed at the local, state, or national level. Remember, there's the three levels of government: local, state, and national. Each level has the three branches: legislative, executive, and judicial. Remember, we talked about that before. Now, public policy is impacted by many different things. It's impacted by the prices of items in the country, which political party has power, if we're in a war, other things. Public policy is affected by many, many different things. Now, public policy, when we think about it, it's kind of laws and things like that to go into effect. But many things affect that. When a person in the legislative branch votes, a certain way for a certain law, public policy, many different things influence the way that person votes. Okay? Public opinion is something that is really, really influential. Let's just say that here we have my camera's like stalling here for a little bit. I'm having weird I'm just like frozen in weird things. So here we go. This is something that I'm in Kate's room if you guys can't tell, the pink walls and little toy drawings on the background. So here's something that she wanted really badly for Christmas, and this is a stuffy. Okay, so let's pretend that this stuffy is someone that you voted into political office, and he or I think it's a he, or it might be a she, it's all in pink. Now let's just say here's the stuffy, and they're into political office. I voted, and we voted together, we voted this stuffy into political office. Now, say that there's a vote coming up, and we learned about representative and direct democracy, remember? We have a representative democracy. So let's say there's a vote coming up to decide whether or not students should go to school year-round. Okay, that's a big thing. In some countries they do, so consider yourself lucky. So let's just say there's a big vote coming up. Well, because this stuffy is our representative, we are going to influence or try to influence the way that she or he, I don't know what it is, votes. Okay? So I would say, hey, Mr. Stuffy, I want you to vote that kids don't have school year-round because I don't want to work year-round. And you might be telling him, hey, Mr. Stuffy, I do want to have school year-round because I want to be competitive with these other countries. So our public opinion, what we think, our ideas really influence how our public process works. Okay? Kind of like, y'all know I'm a vegetarian, and you know that I really more like a vegan kind of, but you know that I don't like all these kind of crazy, I don't know if you do or not, but you know, I don't like random things. I like natural products and things like that. So I'm really big into GMOs, which are genetically modified organisms, which are in our food. I really don't like those, so I try not to buy them. So I would try to influence you know, our governor or whomever to label foods to indicate whether or not they have GMO foods in them. So I am trying to change public policy. I'm trying to use my public opinion to get something changed. So public opinion is a huge thing that influences public policy. Okay? Okay, let's see. Public opinion is influenced by interest groups, political parties, and individuals. Okay? So we're going to talk about those three different things right now. Now, what an interest group is. An interest group is a group of people who believe the same thing. Like, for instance, it might be, you know, students, you would be an interest group, or vegetarians might be an interest group, or the NRA is an interest group. These groups also try to influence public policy. You know, if they're going to make a new gun law or something like that, you can be sure that the NRA is definitely going to try and influence that public policy, because public opinion, whether it be from special interest groups, whether it be from individuals, or whether it be from political parties, they're going to try to influence the public policy. In our representative democracy, our representatives vote, or supposed to vote, the way we would like, you know, the majority of people, what we want, our ideas. That's why we have a representative democracy. So, like, you know, they're going to do that. I am, this might really shock you, but I'm a member of PETA, and that's People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. And I'm telling you, I'm a weird person. I'm this tree hugger hippie chick. And so I am definitely, you know, there and pushing. I have, you know, as part of a special interest group for more animal rights and, you know, getting rid of cruelty towards animals and animal testing and things like that. So that is an interest group. PETA is an interest group. Okay? So that's one. The second thing that we're going to talk about, and we'll discuss the Electoral College later. That is, we're just not going to get into that. Is a political action committee. Now, a political action committee, or a PAC, they're special interest groups with specific motives of raising and spending money to elect and defeat candidates. Now, I don't know if you guys live in New Orleans, or some of you may, but if you do live in New Orleans, you would have seen the ads that are coming on for the mayor or sheriff. Now, when you see these, there's mudslinging constantly. Sheriff Fody, you know, is terrible sheriff, and Sheriff Gusman, the Orleans Parish Prison was horrible under him. It's like basically mudslinging. They constantly fight with one another. PACs, or political action groups, are groups whose main purpose is to get money so that they can basically slander the other candidate. Political campaigns are very, very expensive, and the majority of candidates who run don't have that kind of money. Now, some of them do, but the majority don't. So the way that they raise the money for their campaigns is they get campaign funds from certain people, you know, who want them to win. So, for example, and I have this man just came and jumped up here by me, Mr. Tiggy, the magic cat. Now, let's say I want Tigger, to win mayor of New Orleans. He's my vote, Tigger here. Now, because I would want, and Tigger obviously has no money because he's a cat. He has no money. So I would want Tigger to win. So I would donate some of my money to Tigger so that I could see him win. That's exactly what happens with PACs and interest groups like that. They donate funds and raise money so that they can get the person that they want to win in the political office. Okay? So, you know, politics is a very dirty business, and it's never a fair game, and it's constant mudslinging and constant things like that, and that's just the PACs, basically how they do that. Okay? In order, let's see, okay, Congress and many, because PACs contribute millions of dollars to members of Congress and many provide help in getting voters out to the polls, members of Congress provide assistance to PACs by enacting laws or policies favorable to the PACs. Okay? PACs also use their influence to stop legislation if a proposed law would be unfavorable to the PAC. So basically, what they do is kind of influence politics, and this is something that always happens. So let's just say there's a PAC, action group like PETA, okay, like I belong in it, and there's, a law. Something happened here. I have a black screen. There we go. All right. Let's say that I, as a member of PETA, I am a member. I just said that, and my dog's barking in the background. They send me little things every couple of months that say, Jennifer Meyer, we miss you, and here's a little free gift if you will send $20 to PETA. They're getting money from me. I'm sending them money, and I do. I send it to them because I'm a tree hugger, and my husband's a hunter and a fisher. So basically, okay, so I'm sending them my money. PETA then uses my money to back a candidate. Let's just say that Tigger here is running for mayor, and one of his big key things that he is running on his platform is no more animal testing, because sadly they test a lot of makeup, medicine. Everything gets tested on poor animals, cats, and not just mice and monkeys, and it's cats and dogs and chimps and sad things like that. But anyway, so let's just say Tigger's platform is that he is going to stop animal testing. PETA is going to use the money that people like me and people all over send them to back Tigger, to say, we want Tigger in office because he is going to stop animal testing, which is what we are all about. Okay, so these political action committees influence legislation hugely. Another one is the NRA, the National Rifle Association. If they see a candidate who is going to make a more favorable gun law, or someone who's, I don't know, just all of these action committees work together to really get what they want done. Okay. Now, because the government and politics can definitely be kind of shady and, corrupt, there was an act that was passed called the McCain-Feingold Act, and this stops political parties from raising and spending too much money. It limits the amount of money that PACs can give to a specific candidate. So I don't know the exact number, but because of this act, they can only give like a cap of, let's just say, $1 million. They can't give any more than that. And they do that to try and make it so that certain PACs are not so powerful. However, people get around that. There's ways to get around that, which we're not going to get into. But there is that act, the McCain-Feingold Act, which prevents, a certain amount of money from being placed into them. The next thing we're going to talk about is lobbying. And lobbying is the process by which groups attempt to impact governmental decisions. Just like I said before, like the PACs, lobbyists are pretty much the same thing. They attempt to do this through private contact with their members of government, actions that encourage people to contact their representatives, and big demonstrations. This is basically the same thing as PACs. PACs, they raise money, but lobbyists try to physically change or influence legislation. There are several lobbyists. When I used to teach at in Dallas. One of my students' mom was a lobbyist. She worked in Washington, D.C., and she was a lobbyist for, I think it was like juvenile diabetes. She wanted to increase funding for juvenile diabetes. So she would go to Washington, D.C., and go and meet with representatives and with senators to get them to vote favorably to increase funding to research to fund a cure for juvenile diabetes. So a lobbyist basically does that. So I would love to do something like that. But, let's just say I became a lobbyist. And I became a lobbyist because for education. Let's just say I wanted to change the laws of education. I wanted my students to go to school year round. But I don't. I'm just using an example. I would go to Washington, D.C., and I would try to get senators and representatives to propose bills and for getting school year round, to increase funding for schools. So that's all what a lobbyist does. You take what you want, something you really, really like, and you try to influence the political agenda with it. Okay? Let's see. The last one, not last one, but the next one we're going to talk about is the media. Now, in today's society, politicians, anybody, anything you do is going to be linked immediately. Think of what kind of school that we attend, where we, have school virtually. We go to a virtual school. That's just phenomenal. That is something that's just never happened before. Media, newspapers, internet, TV, all of those things, the media really can make or break a campaign. I think New Jersey's governor, Chris Christie, after Hurricane Sandy, he was like, everybody loved him. Everybody loved him. He was great. They were saying that he was going to be the Republican candidate for the presidential election in 2016. They were saying that he was going to be all over this. This was going to be the next president. Now, all of a sudden, some bad stuff came up that he had done. And now, all of a sudden, no way. Get rid of him. Because the media picks up on it like that. Anything these politicians do is all over the media. Here in New Orleans, we have the big thing with the Ray Nagin trial. Everything, it's all over the news and the internet and the newspapers and it's everywhere. So the media really plays a huge role, not only in getting dirt out on people, but also in the form of ads, debates, things like that, because we have the access to it now. Before, you didn't have that, but now we have, I just watched last night the debate between the governors, the debate between the New Orleans mayoral candidates, and that's with the media. The media plays a huge role. Okay? All right. These are forms of argument used in the media to impact public opinion. These are some of the things that they do to impact public opinion by using the media. The first one is appeals to prejudice. This is propaganda, and it's used to reinforce biases. Like right now, there's the race for sheriff in New Orleans. Well, a lot of people are very fearful. New Orleans is a very dangerous city. We're one of the most dangerous cities. I think we're not the most dangerous city, but at one point in time, we were the murder capital of the world. So, one of the men who were running for sheriff were saying, I know this is a very dangerous city, and if you elect me as sheriff, I will make it safer. So he is acting on people's biases and prejudices already felt. He knows that certain people are pretty scared in New Orleans, so he's telling them, look, I know you're scared, but if you elect me, you don't need to be scared. So that's one. The second one is distorted evidence. They don't tell the whole story. They'll say, this senator, he voted one way for a bill and then voted a different way for another bill, so he's flip-floppy. They twist things to make it more favorable, than what really happened. Like, for example, my girls, they constantly are fighting with one another, constantly. Not my baby, but the other two. Kate today she had a total emotional breakdown because Belle would not play Barbies with her. She went Monster High doll Barbies, and she threw a fit. She was on the floor crying, and she was, oh, nobody loves me, because that's her first thing she says no one loves her. And I said, well, Belle, why don't you go play Barbies with her? Don't be so mean to your sister. She just wants to play with you. And she said, Mom, I played with her already for 35 minutes. I don't want to play anymore. Well, Kate didn't say that whole part of the story. She just said she wanted her to play with her. So just like, that, candidates, politicians, they change it up so it seems more favorable to what they want. Okay? The third one is emotional appeal. And that is basically, like I said before, it's propaganda designed to affect a person's feeling. Kind of like PETA. When they send me these newsletters, they don't send pictures of little happy kitties, like big fat Tiggy man here. They don't send things like that. They'll send me a picture of a dog, like, almost dying or getting tested, or they'll send me a picture of cows in a slaughterhouse because they're playing to my emotions. They're saying, look, Jennifer, look what's going on. We need your money. That's kind of like the St. Jude letters. I also send money to them. When they send me a newsletter saying, we would like you to help us, they don't send me a picture of a happy smiling baby like Vivian, who's right now crying. I can hear her. They'll send me a picture of a very, very sick child because they're playing, well, that's a reality, but they're using that's my emotions. As a mother, I look at that and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to help them. And that's what you do. The next one is factual accuracy. Okay? Now, this is where the media is really good because theirs can give you facts. Because, like, sometimes, politicians might say, oh, I am all about education. I'm all about, better schools. But then another person might say, well, if you are all about better schools, why did you get rid of 600 teachers? Why did you lay them off? Why did you decrease funding? So it gets the truth out there too, because they can say whatever they want. But with the media, they can't lie about it. They can't do anything about it. Okay? The next one is factual omission. Okay? And that is basically the exact opposite of the one I just said. They can change it up and make it seem and lie and say, or misguided truths or whatever they want to say. They can make it more favorable to them. Then the last one is logical validity. And this is a form of an argument that kind of links, two things together. So basically saying, okay, I don't know how to explain this. Logical validity is kind of like this, okay? It's a logical validity. I'm a runner. I'm a big time runner. And logically, it should mean that I should be able to run a marathon tomorrow, which is, wish me luck. My marathon is tomorrow. That's logical validity. I've been running since I'm 13. Logically, I should be able to run a marathon. Well, that's not always the truth. Yes, it's logical that it could happen, but that might not happen. I could, fingers crossed, pass out or fall, on the trail or anything like that. So those kinds of things, that's what logical validity means. Okay? Okay, the final thing that we're going to talk about is the whole lawmaking process, and that is crazily confusing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over it in class on Tuesday. I'm not even going to begin to go over it with you right now because it is that confusing. But I am going to attach videos that help explain the whole process, which I want you to watch. And then I'm going to go over it with you in class, and we're going to do a activity to kind of put it all together. So that's pretty much all I've got for you today. Your assignment for this week is to go into Study Island and complete this task. You have 2 different things in Study Island that I want you to complete. And they are 4 grades, so you need to go in there and definitely do that so I can put those grades in. So tomorrow is my big marathon, guys. Please wish me the best of luck. I don't know if you guys are going to see this before or after. You're going to see it after, because I'm not even going to send it out before. So my goal for tomorrow is to finish in 5 hours, and I really hope that happens. And I will be enjoying my playlist that has been sent to me by you guys, you awesome students. So wish me luck, guys. I'll see you in class on Tuesday, if I make it.